So, what do y'all want to talk about? This is the High Spot Podcast, HSP, on the Give Us a Shot Network here on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe, give us a follow, hit that notification bell, and make sure that you get up to date on all the latest episodes of HSP. We're also available on all major podcast platforms. So make sure you subscribe to the show. If you can't watch us, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeart, etc., etc. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. I am Jeff Martin alongside the Trendsetter, Brian Berga, and we've got your WWE Bad Blood preview. It is this Saturday, and it's a big one, Trendsetter, because it is the return of Roman Reigns. Five matches. That's right, 5 matches on the plate, as usual now for the PLEs. Follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Trendsetter, what is going on? Are you looking forward to Bad Blood?
Oh my God. I'm looking forward to this so much, Jeff,
Yeah.
because it is the return of something that you and I watched. We were there and this is dating ourselves how old we are. Saw the first Bad Blood, how excited we were for the anticipation for something like this. It feels like they're bringing back the old Hell in a Cell. How excited could you be for that, right? This whole red cell looked terrible, I thought, aesthetically on TV. And just the storylines going into, you mentioned only 5 matches on this card, but I think really that's a great formula because it allows the talent to have time to work. But it really focuses on the fact too that if you're going to do 5 matches on a card and not 7, 8, or 9 or 10 like we used to see in the past, that means you have to establish storyline. You have to establish intrigue from the audience to see this and for them to be invested. And we look at all these matches that we're going to talk about on this card. Each one has their particular story that we're invested in. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think the job was well done as far as the anticipation for these matches too. Really well done. Even the Bayley and Nia Jax one has that factor of Tiffany Stratton, the X factor, right? So we'll get into that matchup as well. But 5 matches on the plate actually does us a favor because we don't have to give you like an hour and 30-minute preview show. We just get right to the point, and we can actually just spend the time that you want on these matches. So we're gonna start it off with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Hell in a Cell is confirmed that will open the show. A lot of people are a little torn about this one because this, to me, in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure that you're going to say the same thing, Trendsetter, but maybe we might beg to differ. This is the feud of the year for 2024, and it's been done so well. It's been drawn out ever since CM Punk came back. He got derailed with that injury, and that led Drew McIntyre to get that WrestleMania spot as well. But also had the underbelly, that underlying factor that these two would mix it up, and it's been a great lead-in. And you've had, of course, the one-on-one, the strap match, and now the conclusion, the way Triple H and how it's always should have been done. It will culminate this feud, this feud of the year in 2024, in my opinion. It opens the show. A match, something like this normally should be the main event, but of course, when you have Roman Reigns, the face of WWE, you make an exception. At the end of the day, does it opening the show make the match less significant?
No, I don't think so. Because if you're not going to be last, you'd rather be first. You know the crowd's going to be looking forward to this. That place is going to be packed. The energy is going to be high. So what way to start off with that? For me personally, I would hate to be matches following what CM Punk and Drew McIntyre are going to do because that's going to be something where like it's going to be a Shawn Michaels classic where like follow that type of thing. And I think that's the energy you're getting from all these storylines that have built up towards Bad Blood. So I don't think it takes anything away from it. I honestly told you off camera before we did the show that when they were anticipating, what was the match order going to be, what was going to happen, I agreed to you with the point that this has probably been the best rivalry of the year, honestly. And we're still early on 2024 before, not early on, but towards the tail end of 2024 before we can talk about all the rivalries that happened within the year. But this has been one of the best ones that everyone has been so interested in. Everyone's been so invested in. How could you not make it the main event? That was my point to you. But if you're not going to do it and you're going to dedicate yourself because, yes, Roman hasn't been in the wrestling ring since WrestleMania, you might as well start off with a bang. And right now, this is one everyone's looking forward to. Their promos on Raw, the build up towards this. We thought we had conclusions at SummerSlam. Then we thought, the the strap match was going to be it, and no, this isn't over. But what better way to end this rivalry than Hell in a Cell? So no, I don't think it takes anything away from it. I would like it to be personally the main event, but I think honestly, if you're going to start off and kick off Bad Blood with excitement, this is the match to start with.
You really feel for the second match, most definitely, because a lot of people are going to be needing to take a deep breath after this one, and I think it's going to deliver. The first matchup was okay. I was not a fan of Seth Rollins being the guest referee. Kind of to me, it took a little bit away, but I get it. I get why that had to happen. Then you get the strap match, which again to me was okay, but for the feud that just sometimes a feud on the mic can build you up and have this hype that sometimes it just maybe falls a little bit, below your expectations when you see it in the ring. Not saying that it was bad or anything like that, but it's just like, man, that hype, because these two guys have been so killer on the promos and on the mics, you kind of expect a little bit more. But that's just nitpicking, and that's kind of what we do here, right? And we get to this match, Hell in a Cell. I do believe that we're going to see blood. I do believe that these guys are going to bleed. To what extent? I don't know. It's I'm not going to say anything too crazy, but I think when you mention blood, you're going to see your own blood, and I'm going to make you bleed and all that. And we know CM Punk, this feud has been very personal and intense. Obviously, there is a calling for blood, right? Sometimes before in the old WWE regime, you weren't going to get that, right? You had to do it the hard way and, maybe pay for it later, beg for forgiveness later. But this time, I really should believe that either both men or one of them is going to bleed. Question for you for the first one that I want to ask you: do you think there will be blood?
There has to be.
Yeah.
There's no question about this. I mean, you don't call it Bad Blood for a reason and don't have that part of what's going to happen, especially in Hell in a Cell. So, for me personally, I don't think you always have to have color in a match. I think sometimes people abuse it a little bit, and then when you see it so many times, it becomes, it's not really that important. I think for this one, it has to be just for the mere fact, like we mentioned before, or I mentioned before too, that this rivalry has become so personal, so invested in terms of these two literally hating each other so much that they're gonna have to go through hell to get out of this one. It has to happen. How gory, how drastic it's going to be. I don't think it has to theoretically be over the top like Shawn Michaels when he cut himself and was just literally oozing all over the place. But I think honestly, it's going to be there. It's going to add value to it. Sometimes you don't really need it, but in this one, having color or blood is definitely part of the what we should be expecting.
It calls for it. It just has to. Like you were saying, some don't, but this one has to be. And in WWE's new regime, you've seen a little bit of blood before. So you're like, wow, that kind of opened your eyes. And you were like, wow, this truly is something new here. They're not going to go overboard because it's still going to be a product that's for kids. But on certain occasions, though, they are going to make that exception. And this feud just calls for blood. So we agree on that. Now, the second thing is, obviously, to me, if this is the culmination, do you have to go all out? I'm not talking about spot wise, but just with the interjections of people that have been put into this storyline. And first and foremost, though, we want to send our condolences to Drew McIntyre, who had a death in the family. So we want to actually send our condolences. So before send our condolences from HSP. Gonna be probably kind of tough, heading into this match, right? The outside distractions, but we talked about characters. We talked about Larry. We talked about AJ. Do you think this match needs an AJ Lee or a Larry to be involved in this match, or maybe one of two, or no? The blood itself would sell for this match.
Would I like it? Yes. Does it need it? The answer is no. And I don't expect it to happen because here's the thing. Yes, we would love to see AJ back, at least on WTV, let alone forget the rumors going around that, it's CM Punk or people are trying to convince her to get back in the ring. That's a personal decision, right? Larry, we've seen Larry on social media. I think Larry's too old and too ugly to step into the ring. It's not like Pharaoh, for example. But again, Larry is
Got to lose.
I don't think he needs to be involved in this match. I think we were able to link it up when Drew did the whole bracelet thing. So I don't think it needs to be involved in it. So I don't feel when you look at the two questions you asked me, is blood necessary? I think it's an integral part of this culmination of this rivalry. Are AJ and Larry needed in this? Not necessarily. If you see AJ in the stands, cool. If you see Larry the dog at ringside, okay, I guess so. I don't think they need to be involved in this per se for this to end. I really feel honestly, if that happens, it takes the focus a little bit away, in my opinion, from CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, and that's the main thing about this whole thing. Bracelets, dog, wife, whatever the case might be. This is a personal thing between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. You said it before too in the beginning. This all started with a tricep injury. Drew McIntyre praying for him. Who wouldn't want to pray for CM Punk to get injured, right? The character, I mean. But through all that, a lot of plans changed for WrestleMania due to that, but it's led to this, which is a beautiful thing. So I feel honestly, you don't want to take anything away from these two characters, these two individuals, these two men that want to paint this picture on this canvas with blood included in it. So I feel like if we add those things in, would it be cool? Yeah, but I don't think it's necessary. I think the focus needs to be on Drew and CM Punk ending it at Bad Blood.
And you make a great point. I think AJ Lee would kind of take away from both men, which is an excellent point because people would be going crazy. I think more people would be saying, "Oh, AJ Lee's back," and it would take from the match itself. Excellent point there. But I think at least have Larry on commentary or something like that. Have something, have him help out there. Corey Graves and Michael Cole, and just
Well, let me ask you a question. Now, you asked me about Bad Blood, Blood included, Larry and AJ, right? Do you think this is going to be something where it's just going to be a brutal beatdown inside the cage? Do you expect it to go outside? Do you expect some crazy spots in this one for this rivalry?
don't think crazy spots are necessary because this is gonna needs to be just a brutal physical, in the cage. I don't think this needs to be Shawn Michaels where you have to do it and Taker. Listen, listen. Are they might they want to pay tribute to that match? Maybe because obviously I know
You see the comparisons between the two, right?
obviously, exactly. But you also see how these guys kind of do pay tribute to the wrestlers in old matches as well. I know CM Punk had the Bret Hart Stefan at SummerSlam, right? And they kind of did this match sequence in one of the things where it was a tribute to Shawn Michaels when he was the referee, and they did a Bret Taker from SummerSlam, right? So, I mean, will they do something? Maybe, but I don't think it goes to the outside. I think it needs to be physical. I think it needs to be just. This is meant to be. It's not rocket science with these
It's not
guys.
a wrestling match. It's a fight. That's what it is.
A fight, and that's what they want to see. This wants to be personal, a fight, and they want to see blood. I don't think they have to go crazy with the spots. They just want to see a massacre in that ring. And as we head to what's most important about this matchup is who needs this more.
Yep.
All right, CM Punk or Drew McIntyre. Of course, Drew McIntyre has killed it since prior to WrestleMania, right? He has just been absolutely on a different level, and he has kept it there. This feud has like reinvigorated him, and has just made him the superstar that he was always meant to be, right? CM Punk is coming back from injury. He's already had his few matches now, and now you kind of want him to get him into that championship groove, perhaps. Who is it important here? We talk about sometimes matches and wins and losses don't matter. But in this one, to me, I think that the win matters. So who is this more beneficial to coming out victorious? CM Punk or Drew McIntyre?
Okay, very important question you just asked here, and the main focus is who needs this more. I think both individuals have established themselves in the WWE, so to say one needs it, I'm sure people would question like, "Oh, nobody needs anything. They're established stars." But in this scenario, in this rivalry, of how personal it's been, Jeff, I literally feel that this victory has to go to Drew McIntyre. It has to because it needs to solidify everything that Drew has done since the Royal Rumble of last year or the beginning of the earlier this year to WrestleMania to everything that's happened from Backlash to Crown at the Castle or Battle at the Castle, whatever the case, whatever it was called, to this particular Clash at the Castle. I was close enough, right? to this scenario here, it has to be because Drew McIntyre has to solidify the fact that everything he's worked for at this point has to pay off at this end. I mean, he's screwed out of world titles, he's been screwed out of opportunities, all due to CM Punk. And the reason why I say he needs it more is because we all know CM Punk wins and loses. It's great, but when he loses, people quickly forget about it because he's such an established guy. He's to me, as much as how I feel about Phil Brooks or CM Punk, the character, I think a Hall of Famer in terms of what he's accomplished in the industry and the business and the changes he's made within the industry in terms of the evolution of where the business has been right now. He's an integral part of it, but I think Drew needs this so much because it's all about been him and this obsession. And what better way to end this obsession, to end this nightmare for both men, for Drew to walk out as victorious as the winner.
I totally get it, but to me, this is kind of like not think too much on it. While I would love Drew to come out victorious, this is just a simple matter of there are shades of gray in this. You can obviously make the case that why Drew McIntyre should be favored or why people should root for Drew McIntyre, but in this scenario, just put all that aside. CM Punk is a baby face in this feud. And I know you can make the argument for Drew. Obviously, people can say, hey, but look at Drew. Look at all the stuff that Drew is right about. But if you are going to analyze the way WWE is doing this, they're obviously making CM Punk the face. So at the end of the day, Booking 101 suggests to me that the babyface will come out on top. And I'm going to say that while I think it'd be nice if Drew were to come out victorious, I think both men know that this is a feud where the babyface should come out on top. And I think that at the end of the day, CM Punk comes out victorious. I don't think it's reinventing the wheel on this one. I think that coming in, CM Punk has this, has to vindicate AJ and Larry and all that stuff that he's been through. So at the end of the day, it's CM Punk all the way.
I get your point there. I get your pick. But does it answer the question you asked me? Who needs this more? Does CM Punk really need this? Would it hurt CM Punk if he lost this match?
Drew would need it more. Drew needs it more. But this is going to be Booking 101 where the babyface comes out. And I only say this too, and not that I'm looking forward or ahead, but something's going to go down at the main event. So sometimes, yes, WWE makes sure the fans don't go home happy, right? There's those cases, but I think something's going to really happen in that main event where you're going to need to feed off seeing CM Punk come out victorious too. I might be overthinking again. I am a classic overthinker, but I think that might also lead into why CM Punk comes out victorious. Listen, in my opinion, Drew needs it because they're just continue his momentum. But at the end of the day, he knows he's the heel, and people want to see him get his comeuppance. Some people, Trendsetter, some people, I'm not saying everybody, but the majority want to see Drew get the comeuppance, and I think he will, and I think CM Punk comes out victorious. Now, with your personal feelings to the side, who are you predicting to come out victorious at Bad Blood and Hell in a Cell?
So how I answered your question before in terms of who needs this more, it's Drew. You said it yourself, classic Booking 101. But we live in an era now and regime, Jeff, where I feel personally it's not as predictable as it once was. It's not the clear shot that, oh, the baby face is going to get over or the heel's going to get over. If we're going to relate this similar to Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, who walked out victorious in that one? The heel, not the baby face. And that rivalry between Shawn and Undertaker was very personal, leading to Hell in a Cell, the first ever one. The bar was set there. I think Drew and CM Punk have the potential of elevating that bar. I'm not comparing this to Undertaker, Mankind, King of the Ring. That was just in a class of its own in terms of just chaoticness.
I don't think they're going to.
I don't think that's going to happen here, but I think Drew's going to come out victorious and end this rivalry on top. I don't think it hurts CM Punk. CM Punk will move on and do something else, but it'll end this rivalry because I feel that Drew needs to be rewarded in a sense, not rewarded in the scheme of the storyline, but needs validation for everything he said to the beginning about CM Punk and how much he hates him. He needs to come out victorious, and I think he will.
All right, well, we'll see. So that's a great first disagreement on there. Now we talked about having to follow that. That's really tough. And as far as the rumored match,
I wouldn't want to follow it at all. I wouldn't want to follow it.
So who's going to take the brunt of it? It's going to be Nia Jax and Bayley. So we're going to have Nia Jax and Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship. I love the way that Nia Jax has been portrayed since coming back. I think Triple H gets her. She gets what she has been doing. More of her personality has been coming out. Obviously, she is the typical heel. And what she's done with Tiffany Stratton has been really interesting because she's an X factor in this matchup because you always have to wonder when she's going to cash in that Money in the Bank. Although she's promised Nia Jax that she will not vie for her title. And even Nia Jax warned her, hey, you should look at the Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan match because at least you're going to have a shot there because you'll never beat me for this championship. Obviously, they're leading to that eventual tiff, no pun intended, between both Stratton and Nia Jax. Bayley, who is looking to regain her title after losing to Nia Jax at SummerSlam. I think that this match, unfortunately, is going to be number 2. It's been built up well. SmackDown built up this matchup really well. It made Bayley look strong. It's made Bayley look strong too. But I just want to get into before we get our predictions, and I've kind of give you a little synopsis of where this has gone. Are you happy, or not? I wouldn't say happy, but would you say that this Nia Jax run has been much better than anything she's done before?
I think without a question it is, Jeff. And I would hate to debate someone that doesn't think that way, because when you compare how Nia Jax had that momentum in NXT when she started, because there was a lot of potential there, people thinking what she could do when she made to the main roster, and when she did at that time under the old regime, it stopped, it started. They tried to switch around and make more Nia Jax a sympathetic figure, which I didn't think worked at all. Now I think Nia, it was a surprise coming back, and as you know too, more than I do, Jeff, and a lot of people know that her reputation in terms of being liked within the locker room was always a big thing because of not a lot of people liking her, which I thought initially when she left the last time that we were going to see her again. Plus, she made also comments that she had no plan on coming back. But now, when things have worked themselves out, people have come and gone, and now she's in the direction she's in. She's finally, in my opinion, showing the true potential that I always thought she had in NXT. And I personally think we still haven't seen even close to it full potential wise, but I think this is more of her truer self than she ever has been. She did an interview recently for WWE when they were asking her the same question, or the point I've just made, where she wasn't liked in the locker room, what she feels about that. And she answered honestly, I'm not here to be your friend. This is business. This is work. I want to be the top person, and if you're looking for a friend, then you're looking at the wrong place. She doesn't care about people's feelings, and that's great, because at the same time, although it makes you hate it in that same respect, you also have to be focused on the fact that it's business. She has to do her best work. She's showing herself as this dominant force, similar to what people talk about with big men, right? You gotta fight like a big man. You gotta be a dominant person. I think Nia Jax is now comfortable in her own style of what she does that works well with other people. And Bayley, listen, I'll give credit where credit's due. Bayley always does well with a lot of people. She has that gift where she can work with anybody, right? And make it well and make it good. So I think this is the best work Nia's ever done. She's her truer self. And you and I have always talked about this before too in the past. What makes the best characters when they're versions of you with the volume turned up really high? And I think this is Nia's best work.
Absolutely agree on that, man. And again, I think Triple H gets it. He gets her, and it's been a great run so far with this championship, and it's going to elevate people. It's going to elevate Tiffany Stratton, because the only issue I have with, listen, eventually Tiffany is going to be the one that beats Nia, right? It's going to be not if, but when, because this is where the storyline's going. I believe, at least, right? I just don't like Tiffany being too submissive to Nia, because Tiffany, I mean, it's just, to me, it's a little bit of a reach now, because she's been this confident personality. So to see her kind of like take a little step back and kind of like be, I guess, cowering to Nia Jax, I get it. Maybe it's because you're gonna get a face turn, which probably is gonna be why they're gonna do this, so the crowd pops. But I like a stronger Tiffany Stratton too, where you can still do this, but not make her kind of look like the cowering, bumbling sidekick, right? Because she to me, at least, she's a little bit better than that.
That too, but my biggest concern in this whole scenario, I also want to ask you the question after I make this statement here, is that I don't like what they're doing with Tiffany right now. Tiffany has this cocky confidence about her, which is that X factor that you and I talked about, which was so noticeable in NXT when she made a few visits to the main roster and she had that rivalry with Becky Lynch, right? I'm like, wow, this woman, and especially her performance in Elimination Chamber, people want to see more of her. But I don't think they want to see more of her as a babyface. Not yet, at least, because she's just so good at being hated. She's so good at making you want to see her lose that when she comes out victorious, it's her kind of just showcasing, I told you I'm better than you, and I proved it, whether lie, cheat, or steal, whatever the case might be. So I don't like the way they're making it look like, oh, she's eventually going to turn. The crowd's cheering for her. I don't want that. I don't want to see babyface Tiffany Stratton just yet. I think she has so much potential right now doing what she's doing. Don't mess something up, or don't recreate the wheels per se if it doesn't need to be recreated or doesn't need fixing. Now, when it comes to Bayley, I want to ask you this question. We talked about Nia and what she's done as she's come back. She's the truest heel that she's ever been. This whole turn with Bayley, where she now is a babyface. She got her title back at WrestleMania, lost it, but now that's why she's in this match at Bad Blood. Has her face turn been a success in your opinion?
I think Bayley is in the mode, and I think she's always been in the mode of elevating people. I think she's probably one of the most unselfish people as far as in the business, because I think she's just about making this better. Obviously, she wants to make Naomi something, because obviously they're friends outside of this, but obviously she's trying her best to elevate Naomi. She's doing her best to get Tiffany over. She really threw flowers at Nia Jax on SmackDown as saying this might be the best run ever, right? So yeah. I think she's in true babyface form.
Smells like fish to me.
Elevating other women. So I think that's what her role is. I don't think we should judge her run, sort of say as successful or not as a babyface, because I just think she is a babyface. It was great when she was a heel, because it was, it had been a long time and people grew tired of it. But now I think we're in the appreciate Bayley phase and appreciate her, and she's getting back in tip top shape. And obviously she's gonna, to me in this case, she's gonna take the loss, and I think we're gonna get Nia Jax defending that championship successfully at Bad Blood. And I think she is about right now her babyface, because it's not gonna hurt Bayley. It's not going to hurt her.
Wouldn't you say it's hypocritical, though? You have Bayley going on SmackDown, giving Nia Jax her flowers, talking about Tiffany Stratton and praising her to a certain extent, then going about the history of the women that have paved the road. When Bayley not too long ago was a heel, bashing all those people, saying that she was better than all of them, too. So isn't it a little bit hypocritical that we as an audience, I understand, guys, it's wrestling, but I'm supposed to believe that? Like when Seth Rollins was such a heel, he turned his back on the Shield, and then finally he was like, I listened to the wrong people and I'm sorry. Or AJ Styles apologizing for what? I don't get it when heels do that. And to me, when you do that, you become a corny babyface, which in my opinion, I think Bayley as a babyface works, but not this version.
I get that argument. Totally see your point of view. Where again, it is short-term memory when you are when you switch so much, or when you switch and you say the opposite. I see the hypocrisy, I would say, but in the world of wrestling, everyone's got short-term memory, dude. I think that it's something.
Not us.
Not you, especially.
Not me, exactly.
At the end of the day, who comes out victorious here? Bayley, Nia Jax, who you got?
I got Nia Jax. I think she's doing her best work. I don't think that ends just yet. Bayley, I don't really feel needs the title right now. And I also feel, too, when we look at the storyline, what's going on SmackDown, it seems like there's something going on between her and Naomi, which is going to let Bayley kind of get away from the title picture momentarily, bring on other competitors. So I think Nia continues it, wins it. She'll come out and still WWE Women's Champion.
All right, so then we head into this matchup, which obviously is, from my point of view, a sleeper to the case where, again, another PLE. It would obviously be one that you are really circling on and being one of the focuses on, because you have such a strong opening and such a strong closing. This one you kind of maybe loses a little bit, but I think it is a sleeper, and that is Finn Balor and Damien Priest. Now, here's the funny thing, Trendsetter. We talked about people obviously making clear that CM Punk is the baby face and Drew McIntyre is the heel. But in this scenario, it's a difference of opinion, because I, in my honest, humble opinion, have been rooting for Finn Balor and the Judgment Day in this, right? I mean, we obviously when Rhea attacked Liv, and everyone's saying, well, she did say get out of my way, right? But still, it was a brutal beatdown, and I felt bad for Liv. So when Liv came back, I felt it was justified. And every time that Liv gives Rhea her comeuppance, I root for Liv. I don't know. It's just the way I see things. I love it too, because we can all see things differently, right? Not just in wrestling, but in politics and religion and whatever. So it's funny how we have different opinions. But I'm on Team Judgment Day, and every time they beat the living piss out of freaking Rhea and Damien, especially when they beat the Terror Twins in the middle of the ring a couple weeks ago, I kind of get giddy. So, I appreciate everything. This has been a great faction with the Judgment Day. This storyline has, to me, outlasted more than anyone could think of, and it's simply on the efforts of everyone involved, especially Dirty Dom, and he is going to be locked up again. And I feel for Dirty Dom because I know it's like to be locked up. Like, actually, I don't know what it's like.
Oh, okay, wow, sharing a little too much there, Jeff.
Sorry, Give Us a Shot Network. You didn't do a background check, so sorry, and you can't do anything about it. But Dirty Dom is going to be, he's going to be shocked. He's going to be suspended up and behind bars in a Shark Tank where he can't get involved. Obviously, he really got involved at SummerSlam, costing Rhea Ripley her title. A lot of people have been saying that this is going to be the culmination of it. I don't think so, man. I don't think this is, it ends here, because I think there's going to be outside interference. It sets up to the fact where Dom is going to be up there and he can't do it. Obviously, JD McDonough and Carlito could get involved. I don't see it. Finn's going to be worried if Finn's going to be, in that match too, whatever like that. But getting back to Finn and Damien Priest, though, Finn makes a great point because he got screwed out of the title. Damien screwed him out of the title 2 times, and I feel for Finn, and I kind of taking Finn's side, and to me, I don't see it ending, so that's why I think Finn's going to come out victorious in this one, because I think the feud's going to continue. If Damien were to win, I get it, but in this scenario, I think it would favor more Finn and the Judgment Day here to continue to make the Terror Twins' life miserable. What do you think?
I feel, honestly, when it comes to Damian Priest and Finn Balor, it's that scenario where you could tell the audience is going in one direction for Damian Priest, right? They see to listen to his story, to see how much he's grown as a character when he joined the Judgment Day originally in its first inception with Edge to now, and all the confidence he's had. Where like there's a time back then too where like all the main guys were down, and Damian came up and stepped up, and not only did he have that great match with Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico, but then he stepped up and fought some of the top guys and showed that he was reliable. So I could see why the crowd is favoring a guy like Damian Priest. But to your point, too, when I look at this whole storyline, right, and you're like, oh, how could Finn Balor turn his back? In reality, when you really looked at it and you brought up the point, too, where Damian Priest cost Finn Balor twice the world title when he fought Seth Rollins, and never once felt sorry or bad about it, or felt any sense of responsibility that he was the cause of it. It was more like, it's so easy for Damien to say, hey, stuff happens, you move on, and stuff like that. But yet when he lost his title due to Finn, it was the opposite. And this is where, maybe I analyze it too much, where I'm like, oh, such a hypocrite. Because to me, in my opinion, Damien, much like Rhea, they're both hypocrites in the scenario, because they're doing the exact same thing to others, but when it was done to them, oh, now it's a huge thing. And now it's so wrong. How could you do that? For Damien to go out and say, you're like a brother to me. Well, do you treat your brother the way you did? Because when you really looked at it, and Finn brought up a good point, you made Finn Balor, and this includes Rhea as well, as a sidekick. He was your leader because Finn Balor had more experience than the two of you combined. And although Edge left the company, he was the guiding force. He got Dirty Dom where we need to go in terms of a character. He helped Rhea elevate. I mean, granted, she was on a tidal wave of momentum at that point too, but you need that veteran leadership. And Damien looked at him, and he even admitted it in that documentary, that the turning point in his career is when he faced Finn Balor, and people were like, wow, keep doing what you're doing, right? So to me, Damien Priest owns Finn Balor his whole life, his whole career. And for him to say that Finn's the bad guy here is such a hypocritical thing. And I find it funny how we're supposed to feel sympathetic for a guy like Damian Priest. Oh, he was wronged and screwed out of the title. Well, Lottie freaking died. Happens every single time on WWE television, on pro wrestling television. This is pro wrestling. But yet nobody was huffing and puffing when it happened to Finn. So I think Finn should win this one. I don't think it should be done right here and there. I feel right now, if you want sympathy for characters like Rhea Ripley or Damian Priest, then you need the Judgment Day to win over on this. You need the Judgment Day to be a thorn in these sides to where it ultimately comes to an end. But I don't think that end will be a Bad Blood. I think Finn walks out victorious here. It'll take 15 people to stop Damian Priest for some weird reason, because 4 people can't stop him. But I think Finn will come out victorious in this one. And I think, honestly, he's more deserving of it right now, because Damien, if you want to create that sympathetic figure and keep building him up as this big baby face, he needs these stumbling blocks. He needs this adversity in his life. It just can't come easy to him. So I think that's why he comes out victorious.
Yeah, I totally believe too that Finn's going to come out victorious here, just because it's going to prolong uh, just this feud. I think it just does not culminate, or has it shown signs of culminating at Bad Blood. So I think that by hell or high water, somehow Finn Balor is going to walk away here victorious over Damien Priest. And now the tail of the other side is Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. I almost got lost and I almost got sidetracked, and I went into the Rhea and Liv thing, and I totally forgot that we we're going to Finn and Damien Priest. But here we go, Mommy and the home wrecking, whatever I love what she did with the nature. She took the Nature Boys limousine ride.
She owned it.
He is amazing. This, oh my god, I can't tell you how much to me Liv right now. I'll say right now, to me, she would be the female wrestler of the year for 2024.
That's not far-fetched to say at all.
Right now, she would be. Listen, there's a few other people, obviously, but right now, to me, this has propelled her to that extra category that we knew it was there. We were just like, how is she going to get there? And this has really catapulted her. She is on a different stratosphere right now, and I'm so happy for Liv and what she's doing. And to me, this whole thing with Dom has just, because we were going to be heartbroken. There was people that loved the Rhea and Mommy thing, the Dom and Mommy thing, but the Liv and Dom thing just even works even better. It just works even better. And listen, Dom is going to be up there in the Shark Tank, so there's no way he can interfere. I'm going to say right now that there's going to be an outside interference, somebody that Rhea has done damage to as well, that's going to help Liv Morgan out. And I'm thinking Raquel Rodriguez is going to come out there and she's going to attack Rhea Ripley, and that's going to be, I would say, Liv Morgan's insurance policy. But I love the interaction on Monday Night Raw between Rhea and Liv. Their chemistry is amazing, by the way, too. I could see them wrestle all the time. That's how great they have that chemistry. With the Rhea with the shoe, just with she gives the head bump and the way Liv sells it, spectacular. I look forward to this matchup. I think Dom is just on a league of his own as far as heels, and you just want to see him suspend. To me, Bobby Lee Heenan was great because you want to see him up suspended on the cage, right? Because he was the weasel. I can't think of anybody else right now in the business that I will be suspended and locked up in the cage than Dominic Mysterio, and that's kudos to him too, because I'm just gonna gush over Dominic Mysterio, because when I first saw him, Trendsetter. I was like, what the hell? This guy never paid his dues. He should be in NXT. Look at him. He's screwing. He is the absolute best heel in the bit. He is the man. I have so much great things to say about Dominic Mysterio. It's going to be an enjoyable match. I'm going to have fun with it, but I think Liv Morgan walks away the champion and still.
Wow. A lot to say here, and I'm trying not to be long-winded, so I'll try to make some quick and
you don't want to be long-winded
points.
Yeah, I don't. You don't want to be long-winded as me. I've done enough for us both here. But
because there's a lot to say about this, Jeff.
I'm gushing over how great the chemistry is between these three.
I mean, we talked about Drew McIntyre when we first started this whole breakdown of the card. Drew McIntyre CM Punk being one of the best rivalries of the year. I would put Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley right up there too, because there's a lot of history between the two, and the way it's worked itself out. Again, sometimes injuries are a horrible thing to happen, but sometimes it's the best things to happen too, because look what happened to CM Punk. Look where we are now. If not, we've probably been in different stratospheres. We're not even talking about Drew or CM Punk in this light, in my opinion. We look at Rhea Ripley, injury in her shoulder, this whole revenge tour that we thought was going to kind of be a one-off once it was done, and Liv was going to lose and move on to something else. And look where it's built up to this point between Liv and Rhea. It's amazing. Similar to what I talked about with Nia Jax, I think Liv Morgan is doing the very best work. You talked about Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, right? It's amazing, Jeff, us as fans, when we see individuals struggle and try to figure themselves out. Rhea's right up there, too. You could tell there were stages in her career, whether it be in NXT when she was in the UK, even come up to main roster, where it just wasn't clicking. Dominic Mysterio, for example, Liv Morgan. So it's kind of gratifying when you see these three characters, no matter how they've interacted with each other, to this point right now at Bad Blood, which in my opinion is in the culmination of this rivalry, and I'll get to that in a second, because they've figured it out. They figured out who they are. Liv has figured it out in terms of who she needs to be, and my goodness, she just sells it. And like we've talked about before, you need to own that character. And Liv does an amazing job, as does Rhea. I'll compare Rhea similar to what I just said about Damien Priest. To me, I think Rhea, her character standpoint, is a complete and utter hypocrite. She wants to talk about Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan using excuses for their shortcomings. Well, Rhea's doing the exact same thing. Here's the thing: it's so easy to do things to somebody, but when somebody does it, in this case, does it to you, and Rhea does it better than you, everyone can be salty, right? So I think that's the scenario too. I root more for Liv because I see it from Liv's perspective, more like kind of similar to what I see it to Finn's perspective as well. Rhea did all these horrible things, and the crowd turned on Liv. All Liv wanted to do is have a fair fight, want her opportunity, and her career is almost taken away from her. And the cool thing about this too is the fact that they're good friends, or once were good friends, and so you can tell that they have great chemistry. Like I agree with you, I could see them wrestle all the time. It just works. I don't think at the end of this it comes to the culmination where I think eventually Rhea will become women's champion again. I just don't think it'll happen just yet. Similar to what I said about Nia Jax, I just don't think you want to stop that momentum just now because it can always work. And what makes people more sympathetic to baby faces when they still have to deal with that adversity? Like, oh my goodness, she almost won again. How can she keep dealing with this? I think that same scenario will fall in this whole match where I think Liv will find an insurance policy, which you said Raquel Rodriguez, and it works because then it allows Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea to now settle something. If it does happen, this is Jeff and I just kind of thinking what could happen here to keep the storyline going, and then eventually come back to Liv. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think Liv's going to walk out, and still WWE or sorry, still women's world champion, and I feel that the story still has to continue. I don't think it ends at Bad Blood. The whole Dominic thing, I think that's just more of us to draw eyes on Dominic Mysterio. But the real thing would be who helps Liv Morgan defeat Rhea Ripley at Bad Blood.
Yeah, that to me, that's going to be the main focus. And I think that if it is Raquel Rodriguez, I think that she is a better off as a heel. She just as a baby
And
face,
she's friends with Liv Morgan too. They've been tag team champions before.
and there's long term storytelling right there too of the interactions with Rhea. I honestly think that Raquel should be a heel, just the way I think you're right. Tiffany should be a heel as well. Her baby faced one wouldn't be successful the first time out. I think that she needs to be that heel in order to be the baby face in the future and have a more successful run. I could see her defeat Nia Jax and then just falling stale and not working out.
Exactly.
Better off to stay as the heel. And here, Raquel Rodriguez really wasn't, just the babyface just wasn't working. I'm sorry if you weren't in Texas, you really weren't really like enthralled with the character. It's kind of like But now as a badass who can actually stand toe to toe with Rhea Ripley, right? Both of these people like just jacked and everything like that. I think that she's better off as a heel too, and it sets up Rhea versus Raquel Rodriguez, and it doesn't get stale with Liv Morgan again too. She can be in the corner of Raquel. It works to me. I don't think this is the end of it, and I think we both got Liv Morgan walking out and still women's champion. Eventually, though,
Walking out. Hate to see her leave, but love to watch Liv walk away.
she's in those shorts. But anyways, I don't think that the story's over. But now, Trendsetter, talk about stories, talk about cinema. We get to the freaking main event, and that is the only guy that can main event. If it wasn't CM Punk or Drew McIntyre, is Roman freaking Reigns. He returns to the ring. It's been the last time we saw him inside the ring was WrestleMania. We were fortunate enough to be there in Philadelphia, and he teams up with Cody Rhodes, and it is against the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. This matchup is there is so much story, so many ways that this can go. Wow. There's star power in this ring. And how are Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes going to coexist to take on the Bloodline, Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa? Who's going to come out victorious? There's so many questions leading into it, and I can't wait to get into this matchup. First and foremost, Trendsetter, how are Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes going to coexist?
Easy, through the rules of the match. No, I think they're going to coexist from the storyline standpoint that they both have their own personal issues with this. Roman trying to regain what he once lost in terms of his family, and Cody wanting to put an end to what he thought he put an end to at WrestleMania with the bloodline. So both have similar scenarios where they want this bloodline to stop for different reasons. This version of it, at least. I think sometimes, as the old saying goes, sometimes your enemies become your greatest allies. And in a rivalry from Roman and Cody in terms of how long it's lasted in the span of from WrestleMania 39 to 40, and they have this unique chemistry about them where they're polar opposites, but they just work so well together where people down the road want to think about and talking about a third match between these two. I think right now, for this commonality of, this family storyline, this whole bloodline storyline, which, if you were to ask me what inning we're in, I have no freaking clue anymore because just it can go in so many different directions. It's a civil war within the bloodline. So I think they'll coexist for their same goal of trying to stop this bloodline from continuing on. So that's how they're going to work together.
I, I agree with that, and I think too. I've always mentioned. I think in the previous show we dissected the whole promo, this whole epic cinema that we saw a few weeks ago. I kind of said that this is kind of a little bit of a way for Cody to maybe show Roman Reigns that, hey, if I pin Jacob or Solo, I'm the one that did it. I kind of way to show, hey, listen, man, this is like an alpha thing, dude. This is kind of like, hey, Roman Reigns is back, and I still don't think I get his respect. So I think this is going to be another way to the, hey, listen, man, this is a way to show Roman, hey, I'm the big dog right here. As long as I have that championship, if you don't believe it, see what I did to your bloodline. I'm the one that's going to get rid of the bloodline. I think that's a kind of an underlying factor.
Yeah, to your point, there are two storylines going on around here. Two, the commonality of the goal of the bloodline standpoint, where they want to destroy what the last remnants of what the tribal chief was. They want to destroy Cody Rhodes and reclaim the WWE Championship in their tribe and their family. But also with Cody and Roman having a similar goal of wanting to stop this version of the bloodline, there is a storyline going on between Cody and Roman as to what you said. There's this feeling of who wants to show who's more dominant than the other. Roman dominant for so many years. Cody beat what people thought was the unbeatable. And it's now these two alphas showcasing who's the more dominant one. Whose era is it? Roman wants to reclaim everything he lost. And Cody, like you said before in the cinematic promo, it's not yours anymore. And so how can someone, in terms of a character standpoint, learn to grasp and deal with that? Has WWE moved on from Roman Reigns? Is there still space for him and Cody to be not only on the same show, but within the same company, as Roman alluded to in the promo, like, you're in my way in life? That's the interesting storyline that's unfolding within this match we're going to see at Bad Blood.
Another thing, too, is that I was just thinking about this, too, that how do you really, at this point, have anyone take the pin? Right? I think to me, this has to be just a match that's a continuation of a story. And that's why everyone's like, well, who's going to take the pin, Roman or Cody? Obviously, it'd be easy for like a Solo to take it, but I think that would kill Solo. I mean, you can't, you're taking a pin. And you're not,
Jacob too. If Jacob got a pin, it would hurt him a little bit.
definitely, especially where you want him to be. I can't wait personally for when the crowd goes nuts when we get Roman and Jacob in the middle of the ring, and because the crowd exploded when Roman just and give credit to Roman Reigns. I mean, he's a pro. Slowly closes that steel, that steel cage, and then that walk up to Jacob. That's when they face off, which is what they probably want to do down the road. I think that's going to be amazing. I think they're actually going to tease us here. I don't think they're going to give us a lot of interaction still with Jacob and Roman either. I think that it's going to be more of like, Cody being the one that has to go get the hot tag, right? And I think it's going to be Cody getting more of the beating while he runs around. I think it's perfect here. I think what they're going to do is that Cody's going to take the beating. They're going to make you want to see Roman. So he's not going to start it. He's going to make you and I think that they're even going to not have as much of a contact between Roman and Jacob, because I think they want to save that. They just want to tease you into it, right? This is going to be part of it. So many things here. My mind's going nuts here. But think about this. I think it could be a schmozz where at the end, obviously, you could have, Tama Tonga Loa there. You could see maybe a new member, right? On Roman's side, an ally. You could see Paul Heyman come back. But what about this, Trendsetter? And I just thought about this. We have not heard what KO thinks about this. KO has not had a chance to. Could Kevin Owens cost Cody Rhodes? And we see heel Kevin Owens. I mean, that could be an outside factor. I don't see it, but that's something you have to think about. Could Kevin Owens show his displeasure for this at Bad Blood? Who knows? And this would give, I think, Kevin Owens momentum again. Now, I don't know what his contract status is. I don't know how seriously he's thinking about leaving, but you probably also would know Kevin's future if Kevin Owens is involved more in this feud if you see him at Bad Blood. The way all these scenarios I'm playing out for you, what do you see as the best outcome possible for this match? Do you see a proper ending, or do you see this as a continuation to story, kind of leading into maybe a schmoz as an ending to this match?
Listen, I think the points I've made have been close to the fact that I think a lot of matches that we're going to see at Bad Blood will be just continuations of it, because I feel like, I mean, one will be a definite culmination. Will be the first match, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. They'll kick off Bad Blood. But I feel everything else we've been talking about is just a continuation of the story, because I don't feel like it comes to an end. So when you ask me the question about what type of scenarios do I see play out in this, several ones too. You brought up a great point to it, and it really wasn't. I thought about it, but really wasn't thinking about Kevin Owens too much in terms of being involved in this particular match. I think he'll be involved with Cody in some way, but not necessarily in this particular match. You asked the question before, like, who takes the pin? And we went over all four factors, like, what would happen. But I really feel, honestly, that what's going to happen is, you're right. I think Cody's going to do most of the work. He's going to be working with Solo and Jacob. You'll have that tease of the money fight that I feel is going to happen eventually down the road. It would be Roman and Jacob, because people, they want to see it. They just look at these two, and Jacob has this amazing aura about him where, like, even early on, he just kind of had that feeling and kind of overshadowed a little bit of what Solo was doing at that point, as being the enforcer. Like, people are cheering for Jacob and wanting to see Jacob already break away from the bloodline. He just started there, so I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But I think with Roman, the scenario, who takes the pin, in my honest opinion, I think it's going to be Roman Reigns. I think he's going to be taking the pin. He's going to take the loss, because as much as he was a dominant force, as he's come back and has made his return, granted, they did a great thing on social media where they had a scenario of him standing with his bloodline, the fingers up in the air, and then another photo of him now standing by himself as the original tribal chief. A man, as Cody said, with no tribe now. So now it's a different scenario. He doesn't have people backing him up anymore. So I think it leaves Roman Reigns, as dominant as he was as champion for so long, in a vulnerable position, because we talked about it before. If we're going to get this version of Roman, yeah, we want to see him as the cool badass, dominant as he ever was. He even said himself, I'm not going to change. Cool. Your character doesn't have to change. But in terms of winning every single match, I don't think that's the case. And I don't think it hurts Roman to get pinned in this scenario, because, again, it builds that vulnerability where, listen, when you see someone who's as dominant as Roman Reigns,
I just don't think, though,
has that vulnerability, because now he has to regain the confidence he had for so long. And so that's what I think he takes the pin.
I just don't think that him having his first match since coming back, I don't think they would go that way.
How
But
does it hurt him, though?
no, you're right. It doesn't. But I don't think I don't think they want to see him lose his first match back lose. So I can see where they come out victorious as a team. I don't think they want that. I guess they don't want that image.
It'd be a great shock. People are like, oh my God, Roman just lost.
So you have to factor in this too. There's two other things too that you have to factor in. Jimmy Uso. When they were saying that he's close to returning, that it was any time, and now it's been like a while now since he hasn't come back. Where does he factor in? Eventually, this could be a spot where he comes in and he starts becoming that his soldiers again for Roman Reigns, right? He's his allies. Another thing too is that obviously is a huge factor, and probably the biggest factor of them all, is that there's going to be a guy in Georgia exactly the same time as Bad Blood, and that Dwayne The Rock, the final boss, is going to be in Georgia. And obviously, we saw the Pat McAfee show. Cody was on it. Obviously, there's going to be major stipulations, not only for this matchup, but also for Crown Jewel. So that's also going to happen as well. The Rock is going to be in Georgia. Do we see the final? And this is why this one you really can't predict. We're just trying to give you the scenarios here.
Yeah.
We'll get to we'll give you a prediction if we had to pick a winner or loser. But The Rock is going to be involved. Any takes on if you could see Jimmy be involved? And obviously, The Rock would be the biggest factor of them all. Do we see the final boss returning at Bad Blood on Saturday?
Answer your question about Jimmy. I don't think we see him. I think we'll see him later on. I know, he's been ready for a while, but I still think right now Bad Blood wouldn't be the time for it because it would be overshadowed by what I think we're potentially going to see is The Rock come back at Bad Blood. Crowd's going to go crazy, and it will lead the big question towards the end of the show in terms of the outcome, which we'll give in a few minutes here in terms of our predictions. But it'll be when The Rock shows up. I feel he will at Bad Blood. It'll showcase to me what direction they're going to go in, because the last time we saw him on television, the night after WrestleMania, he said that he was going to go away for a while. But when he came back, and this is after Roman lost and Roman was gone, he said he was going to come back. He was going after Cody. So is he go after Cody? Is he in alignment with Roman Reigns? Is he for the new bloodline? We don't know, but I think we're going to get somewhat of an answer when he's there. We won't probably get the answer, but we'll start asking the questions, which will lead in probably to Raw and the weeks going in. What's going to go on in terms of the WWE Championship, Cody, Roman, and the bloodline here. So yeah, it's going to be exciting.
And if Cody was loyal to Roman, and Roman had promised Cody that he's going to have his back that night, if The Rock, the final boss, has Roman stand aside when we're going to beat Cody down, is Roman going to keep his word and not turn on Cody?
Yeah,
we have to factor that in, and that also leads you to the babyface Roman Reigns because he's a man of his word. So there's a conflict right there. Does he step in the way of the final boss going after Cody Rhodes? This is going to be
so many directions here. It's funny.
Things, even from Kevin Owens to like eventually like a Randy Orton, and because you see the seeds there planted. Randy Orton still looks at that title every time Cody's in the ring. You have that. You have all these scenarios. The return of Paul Heyman, you're right, that overshadow thing. So we don't know, does he return or not? Maybe not. Jimmy Uso. What happens to the bloodline? Do we see Tama Tonga and Tangaloa interfere? Is there introductions of another member? So many things can happen, but it all depends on one factor, and that's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the final boss, because at the end of the day, he's going to decide it all. So if I was to make a prediction here as we wind it down here on the show, I'm going to say The Rock. I'm going to say Cody and Roman win. Out comes Roman Reigns. They beat them down. They don't touch Roman Reigns, at least because The Rock holds them off, and then he has to make the decision whether he allows him to be on Cody Rhodes, and I think that's where Roman and the Rock have their interaction too. And I think we're going to be talking about this one. We're going to be on our post show. Make sure you tune in to our post show immediately after. We're not going to do any press conferences. We're not going to get those marks talking to people. We're going to come right after Bad Blood. We're going to be with you guys on IG Live at High Spot Podcast. It's going to be insane, dude. And I think if I had to decide, I think Roman Reigns and Cody win.
Yeah, my final choice here would be the opposite. I think the bloodline comes out victorious here. I think when you look at Cody and Roman working together, I think they'll work out great together. But again, they're not a team. They're, again, two alphas that are still out to show their dominance. And I feel the bloodline is more in sync. They're going to find a way of getting out of victory here. I think Roman takes the pin. And I think we get The Rock coming back. And it's going to be pretty exciting. But I have the bloodline coming out victorious in this one.
It's me. 5 matches, and we've been here for a day and a half. But
it's great because we can go so in depth. That's the amazing thing about this version of WWE. There's so many directions you can go in, and we're not even scratching the surface. So that's the cool thing to have. If you're Triple H or creative, right? As stressful as that job might be, Jeff, let's be honest, it's a great problem to have when you have just so many things you can do.
It's definitely a great problem to have, and I'm pretty sure right now they've rolled up their sleeves. They're good to go. They're ready. Any last-minute changes that they have, I think they're good. I think everything is leading up to a very memorable Bad Blood. It is the return of a classic in Atlanta, a PLE on a Saturday night, and we're going to come at you right after Bad Blood with the post-show IG Live HSP with you. The only thing I regret is getting a freaking apartment by the freaking train station. Hopefully you guys don't, whatever. I got a train to catch anyways. But anyways, we will be on IG Live, guys. And you know where you can catch us? Catch us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Our home is the Give Us a Shot Network. So make sure you like and subscribe. Subscribe to this show, Give Us a Shot Network. Great stuff on board with a great staff, great crew, great members here. Awesome. A variety of shows here on the network, on this platform. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. I am Jeff Martin alongside my tag team partner, the Trendsetter, Brian.
Whoa, you're closing the show without me here? What's going on here?
You gave your predictions. I'm trying to wind this down.
Yeah, but you're doing what I'm the closer here, okay? I'm the one that ends the show, not you, okay? So don't steal my shtick here, because what's going to be happening to you, it's going to be blood will be shed between you and I, but it won't be bad blood. I'll tell you that much right now. So as the train goes by, guys, oh my God, guys, it is Bad Blood. I've looked so forward to this PLE coming back for my tag team partner. Yes, my tag team partner, Jeff Martin. I'm the Trendsetter, Brian Berger. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. You've been listening to the High Spot Podcast, our breakdown of Bad Blood. We thank you guys so much for listening to this. Catch us again for our post-show reaction. And remember, we do this for one reason and one reason only. Jeff, I'll let you finish that off.
Oh, thank you so much. Besides, I don't want to step on any toes. We just had some bills to pay.
Just finish it off, Joe.
We do this for you. We do this for the crew. And let's go, Mets.